I just wanted to like get off my chest. It's something that matters to me. You don't have to care, you don't even have to watch. But I was just, when you're just buzzing about something and you just feel really passionate and excited. Well, this is one of them. There's a huge new TV show out called Noughts and Crosses, which is originally a book series by Mallory Blackman. It's been out, I think, since 2001 or something. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about so many things, but, So this is my Noughts and Crosses 2020 fan review. This is what I'm calling it. I've written notes because there's just so many things I want to talk about. There's so many things I'll probably forget to talk about and be like, oh, why didn't I mention that? Because it's just this is just more than a story, and it's more than a TV show. It's just like a journey, and it's so eye-opening and incredible, and a bit like, I don't want to compare it to Lord of the Rings because it's nothing like that, but it's just so much deeper, and this world that's been created out of someone's mind is like a mirror really into an alternate reality. And I just think, wow, how many people contribute like Mallory Blackman has to the world, basically. Anyway, I'm going to start reading because, otherwise I'll just be rambling. I read the books in my teens, and they sort of initiated me and familiarised me with the subject of race. I'm from a mixed background, as you can probably tell. I have a white mother and black father, and growing up in rural England, encountered microaggressions of racism from various people in a wide range of situations. This doesn't happen like every day or every week even, or every month, but it's just something that I think needs to be talked about more. Okay, so when I was like 11 or something, I went skating in a local sports centre, and there was like loads of other kids there, and I grew up in a village or a town where most people were white. They didn't really see a lot of black people, back then. Even like 10 years, 20 years ago, there wasn't half as many people being represented on TV or living where I was living, from other ethnicities. So it's quite a sheltered town. When I was skating, I'm rambling, see? When I was skating, I was enjoying it. It wasn't like professional or anything, it was just like a day out. And I heard the lady who was organising it say, oh, the darkies are quite good at this. That stayed with me, and I didn't have any contempt or anything in my heart against her. I just noticed the comment. I didn't think anything of it. At school, obviously growing up, was it 2000s, pin straight hair was, and this like side fringe everyone had was like really popular. And I couldn't achieve that because, I just straightened my afro and I damaged the living shit out of it. Literally, like, it got to the point where it wouldn't even go straight. It was just so damaged. It was just like crisp. So yeah, I was always asked, like, why don't you straighten your hair? You look so much nicer with straight hair. Oh, you look so pretty with your straight hair. It was always like really praised. So it was all I ever wanted. And it's a big deal for us girls. Our hair is like a massive thing about how you look. It's like 90% of how the way you look is like your hair. And if your hair's right, then you just feel like the world is right and your stars have aligned. Anyway, how long have you hated your hair? This was last week. I went shopping in Primark, and the girl who was next to the girl who was serving me behind the counter, she just says like she loved my hair, and that's really nice. And she was like, oh, this has got nothing to do with Noughts and Crosses right now, but wait. She was like, how long have you hated your hair for? And I was just saying, well, I don't really know how to respond to that. Plus, I didn't want to I didn't want to like be like, oh my god, I can't believe she just said that, because I was just thinking, why would she say that? And she was like, oh, my father had afro hair and he's white. People used to call him a wigger, and it was just really awkward. And everyone around me was just like, oh my god, it was just really cringe moment. But I just said, well, I feel like society's taught me to hate my hair, but I'm waking up to like it. finally how I was born. I think we should all just be happy with the way we're born. And then she like sarcastically said, oh, she's waking up. And I was just like, this is not cool. So I didn't really say anything else. But these are microaggressions. These aren't racist attacks. I feel like it's something that's addressed in Noughts and Crosses. How long have I been? 5 minutes. How long have you hated your hair? I think by creating the world of Noughts and Crosses, Mallory Blackman has rhetorically held out a hand to the world, saying, let me hold up a mirror to 1,000 perspectives you had no idea existed. Just like there are colours that exist which the human brain can't see, I feel like topics covered in her stories will be a shock and revelation to many. If you're growing up in a privileged position, you're never going to be challenged. You're never going to need to be challenged. You're never going to need to feel awkward because it doesn't apply to you, or you don't think it applies to you, you know? And this is what I think is really, really addressed in this show. That people who think it's not their responsibility, it's not my problem, do you know what I mean? We're all responsible for society and how we engage with people around us. I feel like topics covered in her stories will be a shock and revelation to many, even black people. Okay, I'll move on to the plaster later, but my notes, I've had some of my own white family members ask me, why do black people talk about race all the time? Almost like it's a nuisance or annoying to them. And I said, aside from asking, well, why not? I think we should be asking, what's made you ask that? I'm not justifying this, I'm just explaining. We talk about relationships, mental health, money, genders was a big thing in this society now, is genders, and politics. There's always been politics, etc. And all these things are a bit awkward to talk about and a bit like sensitive topics. So all these things involve human beings, so why should race be any different? I have a short message for all my white friends. And people who watch TV but otherwise might think, oh, well, this doesn't apply to me, I'm white, the whole race thing doesn't apply to me. I'm not in an interracial relationship, so why bother watching something I can't relate to? Let me just say, this applies to everyone. Noughts and Crosses applies to everyone. It's about inclusion and not exclusion. Because the story is flipped, I think if someone hasn't read the books or understands the background, a new and especially white viewer might think, right, this is prejudice against me, you know. But what caught my eye and had me nodding like this were parts of the show that gave us insight into what normal daily factors could be so different. The plaster, a lot of people have said this, like, oh my god, the plaster's brown. Like, like that moment when Sephi, the lead female character, she puts this plaster on Callum, who's cut himself, and it just shows up the contrast on his skin. You know, it's flipped, and it's something that you just go straight over your head, and you're just like, oh my god, you know. Where the parts, normal day effect, the plaster, the billboard in the background with a beautiful black lady on it, you know, billboard, the general music, the culture, the fashion's incredible. I just want to buy it all. The hairstyles, you know, the fact that Maggie, Callum's mum, she's always got this perm in, or these curls, and everyone's got either dreadlocks or braids, or is trying to, you know, fit in with the beauty standards which are of Afro influence. And I just think this is, you know, we don't think about it because it's just like normal, it's everyday life here, but just things like that, it's just like, what? It's all celebrated in the show, you know. This is celebrated beauty standard. It's from the Afro origins. Even Seffi's hair being completely unlaid around the edges. She's just naturally stunning. But that's what society wants to look like, you know. And how many of you like change your hair, you know, because you see it on other girls, you think, oh, it's gorgeous. Like, you know, I've straightened my hair, I've worn straight wigs for years, and you know, different people can pull off different styles. I get it. And you can shave your head, you can wear blonde straight hair, you can wear black curly hair, red, pink, whatever. But it's just showing the ideas behind it, basically. And I think it's so clever. The lighting, you know, they're all included in the same light. A lot of TV shows, they adapt the lighting to fit lighting for some black actors, so their skin colour just looks really weird, and in this it's just everything's complementary. They've done it so tastefully. Um, Noughts and Crosses at its heart is about relationships regardless of race. There's Callum and Seffi. There's obviously the Romeo and Juliet style romantic, like forbidden love aspect of this. There's Callum's parents, who are they're just literally just everyday life is just such a hardship for them, and yet through it all, from these difficult sons who are just driving them crazy, and the sacrifices they have to make, they still love each other, and it's so pure. And I'm not going to give any I'm going to try not to give any spoilers away. But there was a part at the end of, towards the end of the series, where Seffi's mum is like, you know, saying about how pure their love is, and that their love goes beyond the grave, and blah blah blah. There's Callum's parents, there's Seffi's parents, her mother suffering with alcohol addiction, her father who has his own demons and bitterness, their marriage which harbours untold truths and toxicity. You know, there's this thing hanging over him. I don't want to give too much away, but you know, Yarrow, you know, contradicts everything that he stands for, which is just amazing. The relationship between Callum and Jude, they are deep down, they have brotherly love for each other, but their opinions and their minds are just complete polar opposites, and I just think this is incredible. The way that their relationship affects each other in the whole story. Maggie and her sons, yeah, like she's just the strongest mum, the most admirable character, Maggie. I love you, Maggie. I urge anyone who doesn't already love this series to face it with an open mind. Yeah, you cannot be close-minded to enjoy this. But I think if you are close-minded, give it a try. It might, you know, hit a few spots. Embrace the messages. Allow yourself to feel daunted by the heavy subjects. Enjoy the exquisite experience of watching this masterpiece, because it is a masterpiece. The books are slightly different from the TV show, and from what I've seen, the first series doesn't end exactly like the end of the book, but that's fine, because I think I would have just, I don't know what I'd have done, cried a lot. This is overdue. This remake, this is so overdue. I can't tell you how much I wanted this to be made into a film or a series back when I was reading the books. The directors Kobe Adom and Julian Holmes have honoured Mallory Blackman, and I think that they have worked quite closely, especially while casting the main characters, 'cause they're just spot on. They've kept them authentic. I didn't want to give away too many spoilers, but the part where Seffi shouts Blanca, and you can see how hurt Callum is, really hit home about how words have so much power. The power behind the words and our conditioning to say things we regret. It's important, I think, to look inwardly at ourselves, and Mallory challenges us all, no matter where you're from, whether you're black, white, yellow, whatever. This is such a relevant story. it's just incredible, and I hope you all enjoy it, and I hope that my voice didn't make you feel sick, but yeah, thank you for listening. If you listen to all of it, then like, wow.